Hi everyone, it's Adrienne Leah. This video is going to be me talking about 3 readings that I'll be putting up on my shop. I'm mainly using my Etsy shop right now because I'm putting together the readings, the reading dates more because on my main website there's choices, and since I'm busier than I have been before, I feel like the Etsy shop one is doing well right now. So there's one reading that I have already done on my shop, but I wanted to bring it back, and that's the past life reading. And I feel like I have 2 decks in mind that I would like to have for those readings. So the first one is the Golden Girls Tarot. I just did a video on this, so it really speaks to me because I do watch the show and I know the characters and the dynamics of their relationships. It's a fun deck to use and it's more lighthearted. Usually the past life readings do have more of an intensity to them. Not like this deck wouldn't bring that, but it's definitely like a sunchild. So I'm happy to put this in the mix because I miss doing the past life readings. I did use I don't speak French. My brother actually is more fluent than I am, so it's going to be completely butchered. The tarot of the erotic feminine is what it would kind of be in an English translation, and it was made of different pictures of vintage different vintage pictures of women in that deck, and I don't have that one anymore. So that was the main one that I was using for that reading. Another choice that I was considering is the Darkwood Tarot. And since I'm not using this for any yarn projects, I wanted to put the Darkwood in there. So I've been really enjoying this one. This seems like it has more of a productive or maybe more of a mature type of energy to it. And I am going to do a darker deck video, specifically feminine, but I do have a more masculine one in the mix, depending on how you use those words. So I really love this deck. I love the interpretations with it. The book is fun to read because it's written by somebody that writes books and it keeps it interesting. And there's a bit of cleverness in this deck too. The artwork is more on the feminine side, darker feminine, and there are lighter aspects in this deck too. But I would say that there's a creepy factor to it, but not in a bad way. If I had more time to pick out words, I probably wouldn't use that word, but I've been really loving it. And it has a fae look to them, so I really enjoy this deck. There are different types of beings in it, but ultimately I do consider it more on the darker fae side, but there is sunlight in there. So another reading that I've been wanting to do, and I'm really happy that I'm going to bring it to the table, is the medicine card and sacred path card reading. This one is a specific type of reading, and I'm glad that I'm finally putting it out there because, especially with the sacred path cards, they're a type of deck that you kind of, well, you learn, and it's not a deck just for regular readings. So this is the one that I have. I originally started off with a newer edition, but the newer edition was a very thin cardstock that I could take the top and bottom and like bend them touching, so it was super thin. This is actually both the vintage editions for each deck. So this is the Sacred Path deck. Mary Bow introduced this deck to me, and she also loves the medicine cards. So there's wear on this one, but I love them so much. She was saying, you're gonna love this deck, and I do love the deck. The book is in depth. So it's both by Lisa Sam. I'm sorry, that was actually my friend that I was saying. It's Jamie Sams. I constantly say that by accident. So, just a good friend from school. And deep teachings. So, this one is one of the ones where you put time into master, and it's worth it for me. Because my book, I don't want to show it, but there's a lot of wear on it. A lot of highlighting and writing, and a well-loved deck. So this one is one of the earlier medicine cards. The medicine cards come out frequently with different cardstock, and they look different because there is another vintage copy that actually had the bear on the box, and the newer ones come with the eagle. So I feel like they mix it up. I got the bear, but there's also a darker vintage one, and there's the mini deck too. The mini deck has wording on them, so some blank cards if you want to put your own in there, but I typically don't use them. I don't write in my decks like that, but I do modify them if I want to edge it or trim it. So this is one that I enjoy using too. These are decks that I like keeping in my bag a lot. I was also thinking about including the Ocean and Forest Oracle, but I will most likely just keep these two in the reading. So the third reading that I wanted to do is another exciting one for me, because my main deck for my goddess, the Morgan, is the Fairy Wicca, and I say this whenever I mention it. I'm not a Wiccan, but I love that there's the different aspects of the Morgan in it. So I'm including that one. And also, so this is the book that it comes with. I got lucky. At first I thought they just sent me the book because I was blindly getting it, which normally don't do, because it was a third-party seller on Amazon, and I was taking a risk because I lost a bid to get the smaller edition. So it's the same size cards, but the book is like the same size as the deck. But I got it for half the price that I would have with the other one, and then they gave me this book with it. So I really love using it, and there's stories in that too. One of my favorite bags that I made for a deck, so this one is the Druid Plant Oracle. This is my main plant oracle. In the future, I'm also going to make my own, but I'm thinking on whether I want to make that more for medicinal, combine them, or I know a lot of the metaphysical meanings are influenced by the holistic uses. So this is the book that it comes in, book that it comes with. And I would say that I'm okay with the book. I think because I'm a science major and I study herbs for my major. I think maybe I'm more spoiled with different materia medicas that are more formatted, but it is an interesting book, and I do really love the overall set. So it's interesting, going back to the Fairy Wicca, and I'll show some cards. I got the Fairy Wicca when I was in New England, in Massachusetts, and I got the Plant Oracle when I was down south in Florida, and I got the Druid Animal Oracle, so it's going to be 3 in this reading. This is the one I got in New Jersey. So I got this in the bookstore. I have the box for the Fairy Wicca and the Druid Plant Oracle, but I don't really... I keep my boxes, but I keep them separately because I prefer having them in bags. So this is the book that it comes with, and I do really love the book. So there are 2 contents. So there's the contents right here, and then there's the introduction, but I was going to talk about the other contents too, and how it has the keywords and the Gaelic name and the page number. Then it talks about oracles, and it talks about the tradition, the Druid tradition of animals. And there's a little information if you don't feel like reading it, and description of what the card is, some of what's on the card. There's the more of the upright translation than the reversed meaning, and you have the stories that go along with them. So it's pretty lengthy. I like this book a lot. I really love how they are the same size. So this one's the darker blue. And the animals look interesting to me because I'm not used to seeing them in certain forms, like the Highland cow. But I connect a lot to this deck I'm really happy that I got it, because I was thinking that I work a lot with my goddess and Celtic practices generally. So I figured that having a Native American one and then having this one, it'd be good to have. I have seen the other versions that have the owl box. I know that this is a reprinting, but it has the 1994 copyright. So I'm not sure if they replaced anything with it. Then there's different types of dragons in here too. So I'm working backwards, showing the cards. And there's blank cards. It does seem like there's a lot of saturation in the deck, because I noticed that there's noticeable yellow tones to it, which is okay. I like the oracle card size, so I don't usually like trimming my oracles. And also, I have said this in a couple videos, I love color, but I don't want them to be too bright. I like more of a warmth to the colors. And seal. And then the plant oracle. So these are decks, especially for these two readings, that I did get into the context of, or the contents of the book. And I also use what I know about plants too for this deck. I also have the Ogham deck that was drawn by, or illustrated by, Will Worthington. But I have my own Ogham deck. It didn't really speak to me that much, I think because of it was the newer version of it, and the coloring was very dark. But I was planning on making my own Ogham deck anyway, so I didn't mind. I'm considering putting that up for trade too. I'm not sure. And I'm also trying to see if I have any self-published decks that I'm putting up for trade, because it might just be a North American, or like the US and Canada trade, because I'm not gonna have decks that aren't as available in other places. So, and there's also other beings in here too. The minor arcana is more stripped back, which I don't mind, because I tend to like when the minor arcana looks like the minors and then the majors look more the majors. And there's extra cards in here too. I just passed one. I love the Lovers card. That's the washer, the forward one. This is the Lovers. And then another extra card. I like the way that the minors have stuff positioned too. Seems like it's not a merce, but similarly to positioning. And if you read different symbolism in a deck, you can put that into your reading too. So I really love this one. This one came out on my birthday. I feel like Llewellyn has set dates for stuff to come out because a lot of stuff comes out on my birthday and it makes me happy. So, and I'm also going to put this on my lanyard too, because my childhood best friend gave this to me. She's Irish, and she has her dad's from Ireland. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I might just do the other video another day. But I have stuff picked out for the video. It's about, as I was saying, the darker decks, mainly feminine decks. And one masculine one. My interpretations of the feminine energy, feminine and masculine. Okay, so I'll see you guys in another video.